Hey guys, welcome to my channel Programmatically, where I make weekly videos on various tutorials and step-by-step guides on how various tools and software work which are out there in the market today. In this video, we are going to see how to install and run Ubuntu Virtual Machine on Windows. So let's get right to it. Alright, so before we can start off, there is one prerequisite that you guys must ensure of. We are going to launch the virtual machine instances on a tool called VMware. So that must be pre-installed on your computer before we can start off, because I am not going to cover VMware installation in today's video. For that, I have a separate video taking you step by step on how to install VMware on your system. So make sure to check that out. I'll leave the link in the description box below. Also, let me know in the comments which virtual tool do you guys use. I use VMware mostly, but other people out there use VirtualBox or other tools. So I'm curious, which one do you guys prefer? Mention in the comments below. Alright, so let's get started. The first thing that we need to do is we need to download the Ubuntu ISO file. That ISO file is something that VMware tool is going to use to spin up the virtual machine. So open up your browser and start typing download Ubuntu ISO file, and the second link over here, that's what you're gonna click. Don't worry, I'm gonna share the link on the description box below, and over here just click on download on the right side. See, this will start the downloading process for you, but I have already downloaded. Mind you, it is a heavy file, so I'm just gonna cancel it right now because I already have it downloaded with me right here. So after you have downloaded the ISO file, what you need to do is open up the VMware instance. There we go. And once this is opened up, we are essentially creating a new virtual machine. So you have to click on the first one, which is create a new virtual machine. And instead of the typical, we're going to click on custom and hit next. Hit next again. Okay, so over here, it's going to ask you for the location where the ISO file you just downloaded is. So browse to that exactly and click over here and hit next. Over here, it's going to ask your full name and username and password just for security purposes. Just fill that right in. Hit next. Okay, over here you're going to name your virtual machine. By default, it's going to pick up the name of the ISO file itself. So I'm just going to rename it Ubuntu and hit next. Alright, so over here it's going to ask for the processors and the cores for each of those processors to be assigned for the virtual machine. By default, it's the case that you see right now. I usually keep the number of cores per processor to 2, so the total number of cores becomes 4. And hit next. Alright, so over here you're going to assign the memory to the virtual machine. By default, it's set to 4 GB, but I usually keep it at 8 GB. So it's up to you, you can play around with it as you like. Hit next. Alright, so this right here is one of the most important part of the entire process, is for the network connection. So there are basically 3 connection types, and let's just briefly go through each one of them. So the first option is bridge connection. In bridge mode, the virtual machine behaves like an actual physical machine such as a laptop. It gets a direct connection to the internet, receives its own IP address from the DHCP server, and can communicate to the external network directly. Next up is NAT connection. In NAT mode, the virtual machine gets their own private IP address and have their own private network. They can communicate to the internet via the host machine, which is my laptop in this case, and it acts as if that the request to the internet is from the host machine itself and not the virtual machine. The last one is the host only option. In host only mode, the virtual machines can only communicate with the host machine and to each other, and not to the external network. This is mostly used to create isolated virtual private network, or VPN, for mostly experimenting on cyber attacks and such. Okay, by default it's selected to NAT mode, and we're going to keep it that way and hit next. Just leave it at that. It is already recommended. Hit next and next again. Alright, so over here it's just going to ask you, do you already have a virtual machine that you're just continuing off from, or you want to create a new virtual desk? So that's what we're going to be selecting here. Hit next. Over here is going to ask for the assignment of the storage. So by default, it's set to 20 gigabytes. I usually keep it at 30 just to be on the safe side so that it doesn't get laggy or, and also over here at the bottom, by default, it's set to split virtual disk into multiple files. I'm going to select the one on the top that says store virtual disk as a single file. This is basically creating just one single file for the entire virtual machine when it's spinned up. So hit next. Over here is just going to give you a brief summary of the entire customization that you've done. And I'm just going to click on finish, and it's going to boot up, and it's going to create this virtual machine and also boot up the ISO file. So it's going to basically install the operating system. So that's going to take a while. Let's just click on finish over here and let's get started off with that. All right, so it has started off installing the Ubuntu operating system. This is going to take a while. So why don't I just skip right ahead at the end, and I'll see you guys there. And we're finally here. So that took a while. Okay, so Ubuntu operating system has finally been installed, and let's log in. And there we go. As you can see, guys, Ubuntu operating system virtual machine has been successfully launched and spinned up in our Windows machine. Alright, so that's going to be it for today's video, guys. If you found the content helpful, then you should definitely go and check out my blogging website as well, where I've got a lot more guides and tutorials as well. And be sure to like and subscribe to this channel and stay tuned for the upcoming video. Take care.